Hello, hello, culinarians, and some of you are my students, some of you are not. We're getting several views on these videos now. So this is day 3 for our sourdough starter culture with fruit to give us a jump start. Let me show you where we're at because fantastically we have successful cultures in all of our jars. So this one here is the pineapple leaf one. This one is pretty fast, but not surprising because it's had a couple days to go. This one I think smells the most to me like what a sourdough starter should smell like, which is a little bit acidic as you would expect, and a nice sweetness as well. It smells fresh, like sweet bread. This is our whole wheat. You can see this guy was super active last night. Actually overtook the pineapple leaf. Now there's a reason this one's gonna catch up faster, but I'm gonna hold off on that and see if my students can figure it out first. Here's our grapes, looking active, doing stuff, which is all we can ask, that they do stuff. And here's the blueberry. This one has a really delightful smell. I mean, it smells sweet and fruity like you would hope. And it has a fun color. But today, here's what we need to do on this, is we need to strain any of the fruit pulp out. Otherwise, that might end up in our finished dough and it's not nearly as attractive. So everything about the rest of our feedings is going to be just the same. And all we're waiting on for these to be successful is that they have enough speed of activity, which we'll talk about in a second here. I'm going to show you how to strain your fruit pulp out, and we'll start with the blueberries because those bits are the smallest. So just the same as before, we're going to do 2 ounces of the discard. The old starter that has served its purpose is called discard, and it's because you would normally throw it away. As we progress, I'm going to show you recipes you can do using the discard so you're not wasting it, and if you're stuck at home, like many of us are, then you are going to be able to have a little bit of fresh baked something or other every day, which is a real mood booster, and it's delicious, and it gives you something to do. You can be useful to your family that way. Anything you can do to take pressure off of your fam is pretty good. Here we go. So what I'm going to be doing here is dissolving this with our portion of water. There we go, 2 ounces. So that it's thin enough that I can strain bits of pulp out and still keep the yeast. So let me clean this guy out real quick. Thank you for your service, sourdough starter. There we go. Now, this whole process that we're watching happen with the wild yeast happens also with cultured yeast, which is what you buy in the little dry packets. And that word is fermentation. I want you to know that word because I'll put it on a test later, or you at home that are not in my class will just want to know. Fermentation is responsible for many of your favorite foods. And all it is yeast cells, whether they're wild or the cultured ones you get in the powdered yeast at the store, getting a hold of their favorite food, which is ideally sugars, but they'll take any kind of carb, especially wild yeast will take any kind of carbohydrate they can get. They break it down to a sugar they can eat. And then once they eat it, they do what comes naturally. They get rid of it once they've used what they need. So in this instance, they're turning it into carbon dioxide gas, which creates those bubbles that we're seeing, and also ethanol. And that process of fermentation is what makes things like chocolate's a fermented food, kimchi, I believe soy sauce involves fermentation, bread, obviously. Many, many foods require that. And in the process of fermentation, lots of other cool things happen that up the nutritional quality of these foods. Someone was asking in the comments yesterday if you could do this with other kinds of flours that are not wheat-based. And as long as you're not celiacs, I think you probably can fairly successfully. But the thing that makes bread work on this level, here we go, strain this out, is that wheat flour, because it has gluten in it, has the capacity to trap air bubbles because gluten is very elastic. and it holds the air bubbles in place. So you get that nice bouncy, bubbly texture, springiness, crumb structure we call it. And then when you bake it in the oven, the starch is set, and then you have bread. But it's a little harder to make that happen with flours that are not wheat-based. And that's simply because you only find gluten naturally in things that come from wheat, barley, and rye flour. That's just how it is. So that straining I did, that's it. You can see we don't have any bits of pulp in here. Now I can add my flour, just like normal. And from here on out, there will be no more fruit pulp or anything in there, and we can continue our process. I am going to do all of these cultures here, these feedings, and then I will update you tomorrow on where we're at. I'm gonna try my hand at a time lapse to see which hits that 4-hour mark. We'll see how it goes, but there you go. Day 3 feeding, successful, no more bits of pulp in there, and now we're just like any other culture that you would do in making a sourdough starter. I hope if you're doing this at home that it's going really well for you. And don't forget, that key word that you want to be aware of is fermentation. That is yeast cells eating carbohydrates and turning them into carbon dioxide and ethanol. Fermentation. Have a wonderful day and happy baking.